A chance to have some time with the materials. It'll be a section test. This first section were chapters 1 through 7. So the first test that'll come out next week will be chapters 1 through 7.
You're going to do that as a home test?
I'll send it out. You can complete it before class. That way when we get here, we can get right into class and we can go through the test and review the questions. So I think it'll be a good review for all of us to go through the test together.
Okay.
And yes, I can be bought.
Here's my dollar.
Ooh, big money tonight.
All right, so
We'll take the next round of paperwork.
So guys, we're gonna get right into this tonight.
I already did it.
Now these guys have. Oh, that's kind of cool.
It broke on the car on the way here.
You guys' head just screw up.
No, they're this one.
They're on that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is
So
for YouTube.
now, if they have questions, how do they just?
They can communicate with me. They can chat. I sent them a chat right now. I don't know if they got it.
Okay.
They're checking.
So I assume they're listening to us.
Yeah, they're doing something.
Yeah, they're muted, but yeah, they're good. They can hear.
See a thumbs up. Okay.
All right. So guys, what we're gonna do is, if you brought your books, great. You're gonna just open up. I'm gonna read you the title. If you guys have a question about that particular title, in this particular incident, then we'll go discuss a little bit further. Other than that, we're gonna just keep moving through it. All right, so course description, guys, if you don't really know that, who cares? All right, licensures and requirements is where I'm gonna start. We're focusing on AEMTs. So, license requirements, in other words, you gotta have a high school diploma, proof of immunization, it's gonna be driver's license, that kind of stuff. And be honest with you, the valid driver's license, I think you just have to show up at work that day. Yeah.
So when we did the B, we had to file an application with the state to be a student. Do we have to do that for this class as well or not?
Not that we've been informed.
When you're done, yes.
Okay.
When we're done.
So when you're done, you'll do an application to
Yeah, well,
re-up?
yeah.
Or to,
To increase
A.
your
okay, just
Yeah.
like we did when we finished the last class?
yeah, when
Yeah.
we finish the B, but there'll be a practical test and then a national registry online again.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So, I don't know where London went, but we're tilted again. So I don't know.
Hey, just tilt yourself, Mark, it'll be okay.
Take your glasses off, you'll be fine.
Okay, so
You thought you
license
were
and requirements, any questions on that? Okay, overview of the EMS system. It's
This
self-explanatory.
is just for you.
Levels of training. So, in the state of Wyoming, we recognize first responder, EMT basic, AEMT, which is the course you guys are all taking, EMT intermediate, and paramedic. So, the best way is to explain to me, if you guys really want to get into intermediates, that's probably something intensely, you guys might, I don't know, but it's hard to keep those guys qualified is why we've never done it. And a paramedic is basically a paranoid EMTI, is what I was always told. So, all right, moving on. Any questions on that? All right. Public basic. It is. It is.
Okay.
That it's paranoid.
The paranoia thing will be?
Paranoid.
Got it.
Oh, and also Dale said that if you want more information on these things, more lecture, I'm sure you're all looking forward to that. You can go to YouTube, and you just put in what title? Oh, just put in the title of the book,
Wow.
and they'll read it out loud to you.
I know. I had to search for days.
All right. So, guys, you are the provider, right? So you have emergency medical responder, you have emergency medical technician, advanced emergency medical technician, paramedic. And there's an I in there somewhere.
No, there's not.
I is
They
no
don't
more.
even do eyes.
So, oh God, I wish they'd make up their mind. Okay. So,
That's why we're doing this.
works for me. Components of the EMSS system. Any questions on that? You got a dispatcher, you got a medical directors, supervisor, public access.
Who is our medical director right now?
Our current medical director is Dr. Bollingen and Dr. Miller. This is the first time we've ever had 2 medical directors. And one day we'll get them to talk to each other.
Is Dr. Miller gonna step
Or
away or
us
no?
would be good.
He has not told me.
Okay.
So I haven't been told that. Communication systems. Basically, you go into 911, they dispatch it. In the bigger cities, you're getting into emergency, oh God, what's it called? EMT, or emergency medical dispatchers, where they're actually trained to deal with stuff over the phone. So that's what they're talking about when you talk about emergency medical dispatch. We do not have that in our area. Orland might, I don't know. Okay, clinical care. Any questions on clinical care? Human resources? I told you this is gonna be fast.
Do we have an HR director? Who do we talk to if we have a problem, Mark?
I would really like to know.
Honestly, you can talk to me.
There's this lady on my crew that just, I mean.
She's been bugging me for years.
Yeah, and generally how that works, Tyler, for those of you in 10 sleep, Tyler's asking, he's got a problem with one of the people on his crew, female person on his crew. And so what we do is you're more than welcome to bring that to me, and then I'll take it to your dad.
No, okay, perfect.
And then he can deal with your mother, who is the one. Really,
What he's saying is Eric's the only one not scared of Amy.
That's not true either.
everybody's terrified of Amy. We just don't let her know. So, seriously, if you do get into situations where human resources is necessary, majority of the problems are lack of communication. I don't know how many times to tell you that when they have brought it to me, I said, so what did they say when you talked to them about it? Well, I haven't talked to them about it. Well, let's start there. Because then you usually find out, well, I wasn't mad, or I didn't mean it that way, or something like that. So, but, uh-oh, what happened?
Don't worry about it.
Why did we lose them?
No, they're on this one. This is for YouTube for anyone who's not here.
Oh, so.
And I broke it.
Start
on,
with trying to
car.
talk to them, you know, all that stuff. If you haven't got it, if you're not having any success, talk to your crew chief, if that helps, if it's not involved in the situation. And then you can get into calling me. And obviously, if you're not getting any satisfaction from me, then you can go to our medical directors, and then they will have a talk with me. And then Alzheimer's kicks in, and I'm all over it. So, okay. Any questions on that? Next, direction control, legislation and regulation. You guys really want to talk politics right now?
Well, Mark, I was gonna ask you the
Yes.
difference, what's the difference between a protocol and a standing direction? Standing orders and protocols.
Oh, that's just devious. So in other words, what's on the question, what's going to be on the test? So anybody want to tackle that one?
Thanks, Jim.
Anybody would like to tackle that one, the difference between a protocol and a standing order?
Somewhere in here.
Okay,
doesn't-
protocol typically is the written type of treatment that we're gonna be doing that's authorized by the system. Standing order may be something special that the doctors have ordered in a particular situation, say a COPD,
In London? Can they hear him?
not giving, or not giving oxygen for more than 30 minutes or something along those lines. Does that make sense? So the standing orders could go against the protocol.
Well, yeah, like, okay, a standing order is, I just lost it. What is it? Nitro. We have a standing order on nitro.
And you don't typically call medical for medical direction on nitro.
Yeah.
We've got a standing order.
Because it's in the standing order.
Yeah.
Even though it may not necessarily be in the protocols, it's a standing order.
So do we have a standing order with backboards right now, or not?
No, that's
I know there
protocol.
was some confusion.
We do have a protocol now on backboards that it's literally down to, you feel free to use it to move them, but get them off the backboard as soon as possible. They prefer we even use scoop stretchers over anything else.
And all the docs are on board in the ER with that now,
Actually, our medical directors are.
okay.
I don't control the hospital. They're supposed to be passing that stuff on to the ER stuff. I know you had a problem with one doctor that had that, did not know about that. My understanding is she has been updated and she says, oh crap, yeah, nobody ever said anything. So yeah,
It's
so,
just nice.
so that is actually taken to hospital staff or medical staff. So that where they do that. All right. All right. Last thing was legislation and regulation. By the way, how far are we going tonight?
It's whatever you wanna, what you don't cover tonight, we'll cover tomorrow, so if you wanna do chapters 1 and 2, that'd be great. Then we could hit 3, 4, 5, 6 tomorrow.
All right. Well, let's get through 3.
If we can, yeah.
Let's try to get through 3. Okay. The integration of health services, the mobile integrated healthcare. Any questions on that? It's a new system delivering healthcare that utilizes the pre-hospital spectrum. We don't see a lot of that around here. So, evaluation. Yep.
One of the things that came up was apparently in the Affordable Care Act, there are additional regulations dealing with EMS and community EMSing, which basically asks us to intervene on behalf of, in community interest, help people with making better decisions and choices type of thing.
And I usually recommend that on my way to McDonald's. So.
It's yeah. I was kind of shocked to read that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. That community paramedicine, I don't know if you guys read that. That community paramedicine, that was one of the things that they've been trying. They're basically trying to put paramedics out there, one, to justify having a full paramedic crews, but what they're doing is they're able to go in and they work with the medical clinics and sometimes the hospital, depending on how they're tied in. And so they're actually sending these paramedics out into the field when somebody calls and says, well, I think I need to go see the doctor. And they'll send a paramedic over there and he actually gets assigned that person. And so,
yeah.
It seems like it's a system that works fairly well for a lot of these communities, but
I don't think it's set up for small town America.
yeah.
It's
The
what we're
smallest
doing
community I
now.
know that it's
In an
worked
urban
at
area, that
is
might make
Lovell.
sense.
Yeah, they talk about for people that are homebound, or
Yeah.
you find somebody in need of social services, that you help connect them with social services, you get them the help that they need to better their situation.
Yeah, it really takes away a lot of your frequent flyers that we always all see all the time well, you know, the ones that call Amy because they know she's on.
Yeah, because they want to hang out with me.
And so they just like to see Amy come through the door, so they can sit there and, want some coffee? So, any other questions on that one? All right, moving on. The medical director is responsible for maintaining quality control. So I answer to our medical directors. I'm considered the medical supervisor. Ambulance supervisor, not medical supervisor. So I have to answer to the doctors when they want to change something, such as with the pandemic, they wanted to make it where we all had to wear masks. So they come to me, and then I have to put it into the protocols to fill in. Does that make sense? Good, we're gonna move on. Information systems, just the EMS is not unlike any other profession in today's world. Without computers, the job would be more difficult. It used to be a lot easier when you wrote the stuff down. Information allows the EMS providers any efficiency document on emergency medical care that has been delivered. System finances, there is a wide variety of the way the system is financed. So feel free to read through that if you really want to know about financing.
You know, Mark, we
Yep.
were talking about that evaluation piece.
Okay,
When we review cases, I think is probably, on a monthly basis, we typically always have case reviews. And we use those to help improve our service by looking at our failures, at our, things that go well, things that don't go well, why did they go well, why didn't they go well? And I think all the crews sit down and have a quick debrief after most of the runs, if it's something that's difficult, what could we have done better, what worked for us, what didn't. And I think that's where that continuous quality improvement kind of comes in.
yes, I mean,
Or if the new guy just needs to learn something.
well, that's it. Yeah, for the new
We
guys,
thought you knew.
for the new guys, that's exactly right. We encourage you guys to talk about the call on the way home. How do you think that went? What do you think we should have done different? Dale won't say a thing, he just.
I got different things to talk about.
That's right, that's right. So,
Well, they
10
talk-
Sleep's in a real unique situation, they gotta drive all the way back to 10 Sleep, but they got plenty of time to talk about that call. So, it is, so, especially a call that went difficult, or that was difficult, how could you have done anything different? Would you have changed anything? That's always a good one to have, but also, we ask you, when you do case reviews at the end of the month, please bring those in. Remember those, and most of you guys always do. Bring those in because it's always good to review, because several of us, well, you got like London's crew that they don't have anything tough. They always got the easy ones. Just people that need help up without pants.
Hey, that's been months.
The other thing they mentioned, and something we do, I think is really helpful, in the ambulance, we've got tons of cheat sheets taped up on the wall of the ambulance to help us remember different protocols and things, and that's also part of that continuous quality improvement. If you see something else we need, though we're running out of room in there on the walls, I'd rather try to find a place for it than not have it.
And it is very important that we try to keep stuff up on the walls to help you through different situations that you've seen commonly. Because let's face it, there's times that you guys may only have 1 or 2 calls a month, and it just helps keep your memory sharp and that kind of stuff. So, all right. Prevention and public education, that's public health and all that stuff. They're telling you don't go to McDonald's like I do, like Amy tells me every week. You're headed to McDonald's, aren't you? Yes, I am.
She's just worried about you, Mark.
She doesn't give a damn.
I told her that.
She just wants to know when. She's trying to find out when the funeral's gonna be. See if she should get the clothes cleaned up for this weekend. No, he's gonna survive another week. So, EMS research. Any questions on that?
You skipped all that about telling people how to be better people.
Be better people.
What page are you on?
Well, I can skip from 15 to 18, but
Okay.
It might have stuck together. Charity switched me out books, and
the one that was in here, the one that I thought, I don't know if anybody else read this, about if you call like a 15-month-old child who's playing outside, unsupervised, falls and cuts themselves, you really need to take that parent aside and explain to them professionally and respectfully to help educate them on how to prevent this from happening in the future.
A
And then you
15-year-old?
have to nurse your
15-month-old.
Oh, 15-month-old.
Yeah, they may have been holding the 15-year-old down, I don't know.
Look, if my 15-year-old gets hurt in the yard,
I know.
too bad.
Well, it's
Your own
interesting,
self to the hospital.
and this all comes out of that
Somewhere.
Healthcare Act. One more layer.
yeah.
I think you gotta be really careful with that, so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sorry, there's the lawyer in me going,
Well, and that's probably
So
a
you've
good way
been
to
hanging around
get
her
your
too long.
patient's parent riled up.
So,
Immediately.
I'm on page 19 now. Okay, interfacility transports. Interfacility, that's obviously when we're transporting from hospital to hospital. Common around here. See it a lot.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I think the big thing in the cities is trying to get somebody there to the right facility, and for us, that's the only facility.
right.
They want you have a good working relationship, there you go, with the hospital staff. Obviously, if you're gonna fight with a hospital staff member, which I really would prefer you never did,
Do what with the,
fight with them.
oh, yeah.
We're not supposed to.
I've helped a few see the light of day, but it's been a while.
What if they keep parking the snowplow in my way?
What if they start chewing on you about,
If they're
about
chewing
not
on you,
using your cell phone when the towers are down?
the big thing is, make sure you're not doing it in front of the patient. That's what I really have to,
Oh, that was lovely.
push. Don't be arguing with the doctor or the nurse or whatever in front of the patient at all. That really looks bad. And even jokingly, joking around with the doctors. Because some patients actually take offense to that. If they're participating in it, that's a totally different situation, but
I do think you need to read your patient and present yourself in a
Yes.
professional manner.
Yeah.
yeah. Always remember, in most cases, the patients are scared, frightened, all that. They're what?
Is it naked?
I have a lot of luck with that.
Yeah. So
Just you.
always try to be as professional as you possibly can, and reassuring to the patient as you possibly can. All right, roles and responsibilities of the AEMT. The AEMT. Any questions on that? Your table 1-4 roles and responsibilities. I encourage you guys to read that. Professional attributes. Wow. Integrity, empathy, self-motivation, appearance and hygiene, self-confidence, time management, communication, teamwork. In small town America,
Diplomacy.
Can we
The,
talk about that self-confidence thing?
the hygiene can be a tough thing, because there's literally been calls that you just got done digging a ditch, digging into the dirt or something like that, so you're cleaned off as best you can. Pay attention to how the patient's acting. If they're acting like, oh my goodness, this guy's filthy, then make sure you tell them what's going on.
I'm not always like this.
Sorry,
The day I went to the car wreck right after painting my red barn,
Yeah.
I had red paint all over my shoes.
Yeah.
Alex freaked out, thought somebody had bled to death in the car.
Yeah. So, try to present yourself as professional as possible. All right, we're moving on to chapter 2. Anything question on chapter 1?
Nope.
All right.
That's gonna be on the test.
Jim,
Pardon?
what's going to be on the test?
I'll email the test out, there'll be some of it.
Like the real test, the one that matters.
I haven't taken the real test yet, I'll tell you when I take it.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I haven't taken anything on the computer yet, this will be my first swing. We'll see.
So, moving to workforce safety and wellness. This one really takes precedence this year because of the pandemic. We've really learned a lot of crap. We've also learned that, oh, never mind, I'm on video. So transmission and that stuff.
Professionalism.
That's exactly right. And that's why I backed off. So, I can't stress to you guys enough, after you're done with the call, wash your hands and your face. They don't say to wash your face, but I'm telling you, after doing this for 38 years, the best thing you guys can do is wash your face. I know women don't like that because they say they have makeup, but at least wash around your mouth and nose. So, if you really want to curb it, it's not a protocol. Is that a standing order?
No, it would be a protocol.
But it's not a protocol because it's not written
Because
down.
it's not, but it
Yeah.
could be. If it was anything, it
I
would be
could make it a
protocol.
protocol. I wonder if I could make it a protocol. But no, it's
No,
supposed to be
because
law.
you'd have to actually.
Okay. So you got indirect contact, direct contact, airborne transmission. We've all
What would
been
be an
here.
example of each of those?
You want an example of each one of those?
Yeah, direct contact, what would be an example?
You touch their hand, and they had it on their hand. Airborne transmission is they sneezed and you walked right through it.
Indirect,
Indirect, he breathed.
Touch something someone else touched.
yeah.
They touch
That would
the
be,
structure.
I get COVID and I walk over to you and I end up giving it to you also as an indirect.
Yeah.
Sharing a drink.
Sharing a drink would be indirect.
I don't know, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would. Sharing a drink would be indirect.
I think you're right.
Bloodborne
Talk
transmission, you know, you have, or fluid transmission, so, you know, getting your blood on you, that used to be the big thing when, some of those diseases were out there.
Getting a poke.
Getting poked with
Blood in
it,
the eyes.
blood in the eyes.
Spittle in the eyes.
So, alright, well, there's a classic one. Alright, let's say you get blowback from an artery. Alright, a leaking artery. And what's the first thing you should do? After you've got the bucket, you got the artery covered. Alright, okay, good point. Alright, that's right, ABCs. Alright, once you've got that taken care of, what should you do?
Change your gloves.
Well, if you're in the ambulance, you're moving.
Okay.
Now you became that guy with no pants.
Please.
Do you guys, what's the first thing you should do?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay, if you've gotten something blown back on you,
Okay.
you've gotten sprayed with, he sneezed on you, he bled on you, whatever.
Blown black on clothes, face.
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 In your face.
On your face. And now you've gone ahead, you got the bleeding controlled, you're still in the back of the ambulance, head to the hospital. Any ideas what you should do? Clean your face.
off.
In your face?
And how do you do that? Change your gloves.
That's right, change your gloves, clean your face, put on new gloves.
Good call.
One of the worst things that you'll see, especially with you older people, Dan, is that you get sidetracked with your patient, you get to the hospital and everything, and you forgot that you got sneezed on, and you forgot to go clean up. You guys will get there, you young
That
people.
would be me for my entire life.
Yeah, so that's why they tell you, control your patient, and then clean yourself up and move on. And then, so get it done right away, okay?
Vector-borne transmission.
That's
Was
like
your
good.
insect.
Insect.
Or
Insect, animal.
Mosquitoes, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
From a bug. Standard precautions, so you're out, the OSHA, most of us have all heard of OSHA. You got the CDC, what, standard precautions. Again, proper hand hygiene. Gloves, masks, eye protection, gowns. Guys, I'm really going through this because this is what we've all been doing lately anyways. Masks, respirators, and barrier devices. Respirators being something for the stuff that, in really, what would you say? TB,
Tuberculosis.
H2S.
Wouldn't help with H2S so much, a HEPA respirator.
No, okay, good.
But it would
H2S
certainly
then
help with
ventilation, right?
TB.
H2S has to have air behind it,
So,
positive pressure.
positive, that's right. Sorry guys, I knew that, but anyways, so there are going to be a few situations where you're dealing with respirators. When you're doing CPR, which I'll be honest with you, all of us here that have done CPR usually have a BVM to work with it, but if you came across somebody and you had to do CPR by yourself before the ambulance got there, you've got to you want to put a barrier over the mouth of some sort.
There's something interesting it said in here. It said that, let me see if I can find it. It was about a mask. It said even though there's no, let me see if I can find it. Although there are no documented cases of disease transmission to rescuers as a result of performing unprotected mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on a patient with an infection, you should use a pocket mask with a one-way valve or bag mask device. I just thought that
You
was,
know,
I'm gonna guess since the advent of COVID-19, that might be.
that would be changed.
Yeah, this,
but-
this is all before COVID-19.
Right.
Plus, I think there's several cases of, pregnancy.
Oh, good lord.
A few billion, maybe?
Yeah. Keep that in mind.
God. I'm glad this is going on YouTube.
No, damn it.
Edit that one.
Yeah, let's edit that out.
I'll edit all of it.
Components of it.
Goes viral.
You know, it's interesting, the big concern in this book, obviously before COVID, was tuberculosis.
Right.
Yeah, I found
That
the
is
mask
interesting.
part.
But we
and
also
humor.
had the scare with Ebola there at one point.
Right.
About 7 or 8 years ago, they sent out all the really heavy duty, Brennan and I found them in the ambulance down there, the old, that they sent us for Ebola, the double,
Oh.
Yeah.
ambulance now.
yeah. So,
There was swine flu at one point, avian flu.
I don't know if they sent us anything for swine flu, but I do
No,
know
the main thing was Ebola. Ebola is a 50% fatality rate.
Oh, wow.
Has it all.
Was that are you talking about one of those double respirator things?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
They found the ones that work the best are just a plastic bag over your head.
Like they had at the Capitol building?
Unfortunately, it's 100%.
Duct tape.
Duct tape, yeah. That's right. Okay, components of an infection control plan. You guys wanna go over that? Termination of exposure. What's that?
I think it would be a good one, especially with the pandemic.
Okay, determination of exposure determines who is at risk, creates a list of tasks, and pose a risk of contact, includes PPE requirements by OSHA. Education and training. Guys, I mean, this pandemic has been teaching you guys almost daily. So, and then you can see how it's continually moving on as they learn more and more. Hepatitis B vaccine program. So is there anybody here that has not gotten the hepatitis?
Shot.
You know,
Vaccine?
Yeah,
in my,
hepatitis B.
in my case, I went through it with the hospital when they first came out with Hep B years ago, but they have no record of it. I know I got the
Yeah,
shot.
I know, I'm the same way.
But they have no record of it down at the county
Get
health.
it tighter and see.
So if you get a hepatitis B, do you have to get that, keep getting boosters for it?
No.
I don't
No.
think so, huh?
No, once you got it, you're usually good. All right.
And you have, we did something
That's A.
like last year that we had to do I can't remember which one it was, A or C.
Yeah,
They suggest that baby boomers get
I
tested
think
for
it's C.
I think so.
Hep C, yeah.
Like
I
every
think it's
5 or 7 years or something.
Yeah.
Although I
Because
see
we
that,
did
but I don't
dumb things
understand
in our
why
youth.
that.
Yeah, those baby boomers back then, they were really promiscuous. But anyways,
There's no Hep C vaccine.
It was.
so moving on,
It was the
PP.
summer of love.
No, we just called it a riot.
I was
PPE.
too young for the summer of love.
Personal protective equipment. Examples of personal protective equipment, anybody?
Mask.
I'll tell you what, the
Masks.
masks we got now are far better than anything we used to have.
You got masks? What kind of masks do you have?
Wayne?
In 95.
In 95.
In 95, that's one of the better ones. What's the best one you can have?
A respirator.
Plastic bag.
The N100 or whatever it is, the.
Plastic bag, right? Yeah, is it N100? Is that, Mandy? Does that sound right?
Is that what they're called?
No.
For,
The best mask, the one that actually has the.
P,
It's a what?
P100.
P100. P100. That's what.
And their filters are purple, it's the HEPA filter.
Yeah, with HEPA filters.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So those are extreme. Clean disinfection. You gotta clean up.
Thank you, London.
What happened? Oh, I thought you were showing me the group up in Tensley. It was like, those poor guys.
Showing you the mask.
They look a little pink.
That's what I use for paint.
So anyways, clean disinfection is so important, especially with COVID right now. It's important just to clean every single call. identify the equipment that needs to be cleaned, and yourselves,
Handles
and your
inside
ambulance,
and out.
your inside, and what?
Handles, things that you.
Handles on the, handles on the inside and out, anything that might have been touched.
Well, if they're coughing and hacking,
The entire walls.
walls,
Well,
ceiling, you name it.
and in fact, and in this, obviously in this pandemic, the one thing that we never used to do is actually put a mask on the patient. And so that's new. So now, you know, that's made a little bit easier for limiting your exposure, no?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. You guys don't care. I can tell over there. You're just looking forward to the cinnamon rolls in the morning, right? Tuberculin skin testing, fit kit testing. You know, TB unfortunately is still around, so we still gotta do that. Post-exposure management.
They recommend a yearly
Really
TB test.
Is that right?
Yearly what?
TB test.
TB test.
Post-exposure management. So in other words, if you've been exposed, you learned on this COVID thing that there are protocols that you get to go through. Compliance monitoring, making sure you're doing what they're asking, and record keeping. My day, records were a totally different thing. So, you are the provider. I got you on page 38, guys. All right. Immunity. So, there's, does it give you different types of immunity?
3 types.
Table 2, 3.
None, partial, and lifelong.
What was it?
None,
None,
partial, lifelong.
and lifelong for immunizations,
For immunities, yeah.
for immunities, correct. Any questions on that stuff? You have it, wonder which one's which? Okay. General post-exposure management. Any questions on that? Illness and injury prevention. Again, that's where I can't stress to you guys enough that, you know, for illness, wash your hands and your face and make sure you're clean. If you're concerned about the patient, put a mask on the patient and watch whatever they touch to make sure it's clean. And if they sneeze, you got a lot more clean. Scene safety, and then for injuries, if you've got a big patient and there's just 2 of you, call for backup. Yeah. Remember, it's.
Whatever you do, don't expect the cops to help.
Why don't answer the call in the middle of the day?
Yeah.
They go with you guys a lot more than they do with us. In the daytime, I mean, I see on the police
They're just
report,
there to
on the police report in the paper, they help you guys a lot during the day.
They just make sure to park in the way.
There were really good cops there at one time.
Most of the cops have been pretty good with us.
Now,
You know, you gotta be nice to them, you know.
yeah, I mean,
You
They
can't.
get all the donuts before I can get there. I am not gonna be nice to them.
I know. It's been embarrassing. Give me that. No. Anyways, fire department, that's another one. I mean, obviously when we get those patients that are
huge.
large, shall we say, it is so very important to make sure you call for backup, and in many cases call for the fire department. The question was brought up today, so you're not allowed to answer it, and you're not allowed to answer.
Who are you pointing at?
Jim Lash.
Okay.
Okay. Do you guys know what the appropriate, up to how much weight 2 people are allowed to lift?
150.
Wrong.
200.
You lightweight.
Yeah, I listed 450.
150 each?
100 each.
I said 2 people are allowed
200
to,
people, 2 people.
so you're gonna say 300 pounds?
No.
So she's saying 300.
I'm saying 200.
150 each.
No, 2 people. Let's do the math. I don't want to.
math, Mark.
I want you to do it right
They
away.
can't divide.
225 is what Tyler meant to say.
30 pounds for 2 people.
Yeah, you're saying, yeah, he's saying.
Tyler meant to say 220.
So you're saying 225. You're at 300. Anybody else want to take a shot?
230.
200.
'Cause this one might be on, this could be on the test, guys, that's all I'm saying. How
It's in
much?
the next chapter, but that's all right.
Is it on the next chapter? Well, I'm hitting you before.
It's coming up.
It's coming up.
It's 250. 250 is what is the recommended up to.
Two more people then.
So,
It says
all right.
recommended.
So remember that
That's the key word.
for those of you who are
We
listening.
had two more people.
All right. Scene safety and personal protection. When you get into scene safe, some examples of an unsafe scene would be what?
Car accident.
Car accident,
Fire.
fire, what? Unstable vehicle.
Semi-truck wreck with
a
placards.
gun who has a lot-
Semi-truck with placards, what'd you say?
Yeah, like we've gone on a call with somebody who was like not well psychologically, and it came over on the page like that, and their door was locked, so we didn't stand in front of the door.
Right, okay,
Well,
so not standing in front of the door on a patient that is not necessarily mentally stable.
Icy stairs.
And why would that be? In case they have a gun, so they don't shoot you, okay? Icy stairs?
Icy stairs, got it.
I see. Oh,
I'm-
no, okay, I.
I'm pulling that into 2 words, and confusing the hell out of myself.
Are you saying
How about
sta-
effective
Slick
stairs?
stairs.
Slick
Yeah.
stairs,
I warned
okay?
you.
You did, thank goodness too.
I thought you were saying an icy stairs, and I was
I
like,
was, like, slick, icy.
no, an icy stair.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, I guess that could be it.
Are you safe?
Might indicate a gun.
So, one of the things they used to catch everybody through when they were doing the,
Water.
water can be a problem.
Waters.
Yeah, the pool scenario.
But the pool scenario is a good one. Okay, when they're putting you through your practicals, one of the common ones they used to love to catch everybody with, to see if they were checking for scene safety. Do you guys remember? Well, your patient? No. You'd be walk in, here's a patient just laying there.
You have to make sure there's not any more patients.
Well, these guys, what they used to love to do is they used to tuck a gun or a knife.
Gun, yeah, that's what.
Under the patient.
Hammer
So-
behind the chair.
So yeah, so always remember, you never know, just because you walk in, everything seems all right. I know they had one years ago where they walked in and the guy was just, they went to take care of the lady. They were sitting there working with the lady, and somebody finally stood up and looked behind them, and the guy's husband was sitting there with a gun. They said that woke him up. They said nothing happened, still. So always, scene safety is super important. Scene hazards, got hazardous materials, there's a vehicle crash, electricity. That's probably really common to get. Everybody thinks that you can get around that power wire. And
I think the most common hazard is a wet bathroom floor.
wet bathroom floor. I can do that.
Because you can't bend down properly, and then the floor is slick.
That's right. And they're wrapped around that damn toilet. Violence. That's another one to be aware of. Behavioral emergencies, because with some of those patients, when you're dealing with behavioral, you don't know what's going to set them off. Usually,
Purple gloves.
purple gloves might set them off. What was it that they accused Molly of? Eating plastic
Oh,
eater.
yeah.
Plastic heater?
She was accused of being a plastic eater because she fed her dog food, and there was supposedly plastic in whatever. So she was called a plastic eater. So dumb, strange, not mentally on the right level.
No, that seems about, that seems where people should be at.
Plastic eater?
Normal.
Yeah.
That's baseline.
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot more of those people than you realize. Protective clothing, preventing injury. Obviously, they recommend don't wear too loose of clothing in case it gets caught up and stuff.
No sandals.
No sandals. That's always
If I
kind
had a pair
of
of
fun.
sandals, I'd follow you down the mountain with.
Yeah.
But
Why not?
Just
One thing I thought it was good to review is I don't always have my hair tied back. So that's something I could probably put some hair ties in the.
that's a good point.
I have a problem with
I think
that.
it was your husband actually that complained about my hair.
Oh, yeah, that's how he remembered you too.
And
He's
And-
like,
Then you got people like me that just don't have much,
No.
so.
I agree, Amy.
So be aware of that, you know, if the hair's getting constantly in your face, your ponytail, that's a good point. Cold weather clothing. It sucks to get in the canyon and you have a light jacket and the weather is blowing and it's cold. Turnout gear, gloves, helmets. You know, a lot of the equipment that we have that we're just not equipped for, so you let the fire department do that and they bring them to you.
Hey, Mom.
So,
Sorry.
clothing, boots, eye protection,
I'm looking up some.
ear protection. There is occasionally you're going to get into some loud situations.
What?
Sorry.
Yep. Exactly. That's right, Dale. Perfect. Skin protection, body armor. Guys, if you're getting in a body armor situation,
Get the hell out.
Don't pay me enough
you guys
for
were
body
not
armor.
listening to scene safety. So, you know, maybe that, I guess that probably happens in the bigger cities.
Where do I find the body armor?
So my husband really did get shot at as a
Good.
fireman EMS. The guy was wanting to commit suicide by cop, so he started shooting at them.
Again, scene safety. I can't stress. Stress management. That's why I do McDonald's.
Mark, how many
Not
people that's
a choice.
on the list of
The
unhealthy
fries help
coping
with stress
habits?
management?
Oh, more than you know. Especially the old grease.
I
that
had
they
no
used to use.
idea.
You use the old grease, get rid of that trans fat
You
crap.
feel
Oh my
that
goodness.
drinking is better than stress
Life is,
management
it's
or
heaven
burnout?
once again. Stress management. Different ideas for stress management. What's the most common one? Talking to others about the problem. What's that? Stress ball. What do you need? A stress ball. Yeah.
Another drink?
Another drink. Alcohol is never the solution. I'm saying that because I'm on camera.
I
Right?
think you're wrong. If you would look at chemistry, it actually is a solution.
Go.
CISM.
really is.
What?
CISM.
Technically, it's.
Which is?
Critical Incident Stress Debriefing. Or stress management.
Yeah, and
Oh,
we are going to have, you're always going to have some calls that were really a weight on your shoulder. I mean, thank God we don't have that here very often. And we do have, we usually have a debriefing, and it usually goes along with the hospital, fire department, police department. I mean, they invite everybody. And when we do have those type of calls and they have those debriefings, I really recommend that you guys go to those, especially if you're involved in the case or in the call. Burnout. Amy, jeez. We all, you will all suffer from burnout at some point, and then you get with me and I tell you, get over it.
Wow. Mark, where's the wisdom?
That's right. And it sucks. But, no, actually.
Good
we talk-
EMT never makes mistakes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Does it say that?
That's awesome. Oh,
So,
yeah, right
peer
there.
support and suicide prevention. Is this for EMS? Is it?
I think it's one of the things that causes.
Oh, no, I like that.
Oh, yeah, it
Is
is.
that you have that belief.
Yeah, that you are, that's part of your belief set.
Right? Yeah.
That suicide's an option?
No, the
No.
EMTs never make mistakes.
No, yeah, it's a belief that can cause burnout.
Oh, I gotcha. Wow, you guys are throwing me off on that one. I was like, what? So,
You
yeah.
know, as part of the wellness thing, we should all run a marathon this spring.
What?
Hey, I'll be
No.
out.
Sorry. Amy has to be in the back.
I just want you to know I haven't.
And she
marked my
cannot
book at
pass
all.
anybody.
that's a great idea, Jim. We'll all follow you.
Obstacle races are next. They're not. so
Oh,
fun.
God. I just,
Bring up a marathon. I don't know.
you know what? My obstacle, my racing days are gonna be from the car to the lobby at McDonald's.
Drive up.
And that's why we won't do a marathon.
Yeah,
Just drive.
my obstacle course is when I dropped change out the window and I had to open the door to get it.
Your obstacle course is trying to close the door right now.
Right now, it is. Oh my goodness, you guys don't realize how bad this thing is. You can't close the door. Oh,
You
for
hear
those
that,
who
Mark?
intensely, I have a broken wrist.
You hear that, Mark? Let's be playing this song on the world's
Yeah.
smallest violin for you.
Well, so get this. You know, hey, you guys brought this up, you little smartasses. So now, not only you can't do that, so you have to reach down here and hook the door with your foot, which pulls this muscle right here. So now I've injured that muscle. So I've had to go this way, pull this shut. So today I found out I pulled this muscle. I digress. Moving on.
So this is what I have to look forward to when I get as old as you?
Oh, dude, you're way past. I hope to be as healthy as you. Nutrition. You know,
McDonald's is not
yeah, evidently what I eat is not probably the best. I do have a salad
You should
occasionally.
limit your consumption of
That's just
sugar and
lettuce on
fats.
your burger.
So your nutrition's always in exercise and relaxation. Smoking and avoidance of conversation. Wow.
Avoidance of conversation.
Try not to get any sleep, it says. Oh, good. Oh, get good sleep. Oh, sorry. Obviously, it's important to get some sleep, especially those poor crews that are out all night on multiple calls.
Those are always fun.
That's why it's really good for us day crew, because we can run the monster drinks to you guys.
Thank you.
To help get through the day. That's happened many times, has it not, Amy?
Yep.
Disease prevention. You know, it really does come down to your diet and exercise, all that stuff. Balancing work, family, and health. Diversity on the job. Diversity on the job.
That's being able to drive and shut the door.
There you go. Be respectful towards others who differ from your terms of culture, race, ethnicity, and religion. Boy, let's not go there. Workplace issues. So you got diversity on the job, sexual harassment, substance abuse. There's been numerous times I've come in and caught Amy stealing an aspirin
Uh-oh.
for the hangover the night before.
Yeah.
Death and dying. The grieving process. So you guys can come talk to me about that if you want to know.
Okay, Tyler, it's yours now, buddy.
Tyler's?
Yeah, working with family members.
Oh.
Working with family members. Tyler? Brennan? Would you guys like to take that subject?
I pass.
Okay.
I love you, Mom.
I love you, Mom. There you go.
It is sweet.
Working with the patient. Obviously, guys, this is what you guys do. You're always be aware the patient may have anxiety, pain, and fear. I mean, that's obviously, we see that a lot. Anger and hostility, depression, dependency, guilt, occasionally, mental health problems. And, and occasionally you do see that they're receiving unrelated bad news. And that really, I've seen them really get anxiety and depression and all that. Dealing with the death of a child. That one's a tough one. I've had to do it a couple times and it sucks. But don't ever be afraid to ask somebody, another EMT or someone to help you. When you're dealing with this, if you feel overwhelmed, ask somebody else to help you dealing with the situation. And I'm not talking about just death of a child, I'm just talking about
Any hard call, I would think.
Any hard
is
call,
good to-
yeah. And for that matter, if somebody asks you to help them, please do. Or if you feel it's out of your league, get somebody there that can help that person. Help that other EMT in that situation. Caring for the critically ill and injured patients. Avoid sad and grim comments.
Wow, you failed that one, didn't you?
That's for the drunks.
Dude, you're screwed.
Yeah. Okay, what you're saying is I shouldn't sit there now. Have you chosen a funeral? I've never done it, Amy. Jeez.
So bad.
I'm doing it just so you know that all these people are giving me crap here. So orient the patient. Be honest. There's some situations. A common one is if somebody died in a car wreck and you're hauling the spouse.
I just tell them somebody else is taking care of your spouse, I'm concerned.
Yeah,
with
the
you.
best thing, you don't come right out and say, oh no, he's dead.
Right.
I mean, it's literally one of the, so by being honest, yes, you need to be honest, but you need to say, I don't know what the situation is there, you're my patient. I'm working with you. So, because there has been a couple incidences over the decades where somebody did say, well, yeah, no, they died, and the other one coded right there. So, just be aware of it. But yes, be honest with them. Just say, unfortunately, I do know of one that he was always drunk, and he was always getting in trouble. My dad always fought with him. It stunned me because we went to pick him up. It was one of my first calls, and they tell you have to, be careful what you say and how you say it. And the guy said, "Oh, Clark, I'm so sorry." He says, "Am I gonna be all right?" And my dad looked straight at him and says, "No, Jack, you're gonna die." And my mouth dropped open. I was just like, "You can't say that. You can't say that to him." And then they explained to me later. Believe it or not, that guy straightened up. I mean, I'm not saying don't ever do that, but anyway, that was interesting. Allow for hope. I mean, see, well, let's get you in. Let's see what's going on, and we'll go from there. That gives them a little show that there's possibility of hope. Locate and notify family members. In most cases, you're going to turn that over to social services when you get home, or you get to the ER. If you're on scene, and this is a child, you better do everything you can if that parent's nearby to find him. Injured and critically ill children. They're in uncertain situations. Obviously, one of the things that we try to stress for kids, get down to their level. You're not nearly as intimidating if you're down at their level. I mean, and if you need to lay down on the floor and put your hand up, and I can't do that. I can do it this way. That's kind of reassuring. Try to get the children to talk and stuff like that. Okay. You're the provider. What is this?
It refers to the scenario over there at the bottom of page 62.
You're looking at 62? 62?
Bottom of page 62, or 67, sorry. Wrong glasses.
So which part are you looking at?
The questions refer to the narrative over here that are in there. Is that what you asked?
I didn't ask you anything about it, you just...
Oh, sorry.
Okay, then, never mind.
Oh, this is for the questions? All right. So we're gonna go to chapter 3. Medical, legal, and ethical issues. Scope of practice refers to what you're allowed to do as an AEMT. Protocols, standing orders, this is where, what he was talking about earlier. Standard of care. There's standards that are imposed by the local custom, standards that are imposed by law. Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, feel free to emt-a. Please read that. emt-a? Yeah.
What they're telling you is not to do an economic triage. And I guess in the big cities, what they do is they'll find out what kind of insurance the patient's got and then decide which hospital they go to.
Yeah.
Or they can't ask that at the hospital, but they can't ask it on the ambulance, or they were asking on the ambulance and then transporting to. That's a no-no.
That can't be good.
Yeah. I had to read that to figure it out, but yes.
So evidently now they just ask you to slip them $10 and they'll take you to a nicer place. So anyways, I'm kidding, I have no idea. I forget it's on video. Professional or institutional standards. Standards imposed by your textbook, by EMS enabling legislation, and standards imposed by the states. Certification and Medical Practice Act, certification and license. Negligence. So Dan should really be teaching this part, but.
The part on negligence, or?
Yeah.
Because I'm negligent?
It's like.
Are you denying it? Let's go back here to this page where it says honest.
Re ipsa liquor.
Res ipsa loquitur.
Which means what?
The thing speaks for itself.
It means
Yeah.
what?
But for what happened, there wouldn't have been an injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and for those of you in 10 sleep, we have our resident lawyer, retired lawyer. So he's not nearly as good as he used to be. He used to be pretty good from what I hear. But now it's kind of like, yeah, whatever.
So what's malfeasance?
So you have malfeasance is, you have malfeasance and misfeasance and nonfeasance. Those are different ways that you can be neglectful.
Because malfeasance is you do something you're trained to do
Nope.
incorrectly.
No, that's misfeasance.
That's
is you
misfeasance.
miss something you didn't, did I get it backwards?
Yeah.
Oh,
Misfeasance is you did something that you were legally permitted to do, but you screwed up.
Right.
Malfeasance is you perform something you're not supposed to do. You decide
Okay,
to do
I got it backwards
To
then.
do a trick, yeah.
trach on somebody and.
Right. And
So
nonfeasance then is when you actually just don't take any action that you should be taking.
Yeah, you were trained to do something, you failed to do it.
Right.
And then you were saying res presidio liquidor is what?
Res ipsa loquitur. So it means the thing speaks for itself, but in practical parlance, it means but for. So, but for the fact that I didn't treat the patient would have survived. Does that make sense? The
Okay.
thing speaks for itself. The fact that I didn't treat the patient speaks for itself, and that's why I get to be found liable. It's a
Okay.
way to short circuit those elements of a negligence claim: duty, breach, harm, and liability.
Okay.
So you cut through those with a case of res ipsa. And again, it's gotta be something that's very blatant, like I didn't treat the patient when I had an obligation to treat the patient.
Okay. Are they hearing us up? Are they hear him in London? Okay, good. Okay.
And then that
So
gets you close to the next one, which is negligence per se. Per se meaning that there's no other explanation for what happened other than it was negligent. So it's almost
okay.
like by definition, that was negligent.
Okay.
Like trying to do a trach when you're not really trained or certified to do that.
Then you get civil lawsuit and tort.
That's the tort of negligence is what we're talking about.
Which is what?
So a tort, there are different kinds of torts, but negligence is a tort.
Okay.
So negligence is a subset of torts.
Okay. Is that gonna be on the test?
Probably.
I would
It
say
will be
now.
definitely would.
Some of that will be.
Okay.
I think it all goes back to, what the factors, is it duty, is it breach of duty? Do you have a duty to act?
Right. Is there a duty first for you to do anything?
Yeah.
All right. Breach of duty means you just didn't do it. Damages. Damage, that's what you're gonna be awarded, right? That's what they award you.
Was there some injury or loss?
Approximate cause.
So just because let's say I had a duty, I did that, I fulfilled my duty, I caused the damage by not fulfilling my duty correctly. That's the question. Just because there's a damage doesn't mean it was caused by me not doing something correctly. So if I treat the guy, but he still ends up with a permanent injury, that doesn't mean I caused his permanent injury. And that's why you've got that proximate cause, or causation, we call that, as one of the elements of a tort claim, or negligence claim.
So, abandonment. Everybody understands that? You didn't do squat, you walked away.
Or you started you squat and you left.
Or you started to do it, yeah.
Or you did something that at your level, and then you kick it off to, say, a bystander who has no medical standing.
Kick it to somebody who's lower level than you.
Yeah, that's abandonment also.
So assault, battery, kidnapping, and false imprisonment. Assault means that,
You could force somebody into the back of the ambulance.
yeah.
Let's say it's a juvenile and you say, well, you can't refuse, so you throw them down and seatbelt them to the stretcher because they're juvenile. Well, that would be probably a battery, assault and a battery.
Would that be starting an ID for an
Could be.
adult who's refused?
Yep,
That's a battery.
that's
Yeah.
battery.
You touched him.
If you actually
Assault is just making them fear.
Yeah, so threatening to do it would be the assault.
Or they tell you not to do it and you do it.
Right. And then that becomes a battery.
But you have to show that they're in their right mind though, right?
Yeah, you're assuming they're competent.
Yeah, you're assuming they're competent.
Right.
Kidnapping, and then false imprisonment. Defamation, slander, and libel. I can go over that if you guys want. Good Samaritan laws and immunity. Any questions on that? Consent. Express consent. Does everybody remember all these? Implied consent. Minors and consent.
That'd be a good one to review.
You are minors
Well-
and consent?
You still can't force a minor. I watched 2 EMTs once force a minor into the back of the ambulance because they said, you're a minor, you can't refuse. And they shoved him down the cot, strapped him down.
Who the hell was that? Here?
Yeah.
What year was that?
1843.
I don't know if statute of limitations is up yet, so.
Well, let's go back and read about statute of limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations, I'm not sure. It's just, they can refuse too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
If you're gonna take them in,
Except
what do
that.
you gotta have?
Except that.
But again, a minor has a legal inability to give consent because of his age.
So who's gotta give that consent for us?
Whoever is in local parentis, the parent
And that
or
would be
guardian,
either- if they're
parent,
not
guardian,
there-
grandparent,
If the police are there and the sheriff's units are there,
or
and they are ordering you to
neighbor
go ahead and
mom
take
that's
them in.
taking them to the park. You know, the neighbor's mom, she's got control of them at that time, she can.
I know what
give
you're talking
consent.
about now.
We had a situation this fall where we had and it wasn't I asked the officer, is he in your custody? Wanted to make sure that, you know, the patient, he was a minor, but was in their custody.
And didn't want to go with you,
Oh, no.
but still did because of being under the custody.
He was in the custody of the sheriff, and the sheriff wanted him taken in for evaluation.
The sheriff said you're going,
Yeah,
and because he's got legal custody of him, he can give that consent.
exactly.
So that would be minors and consent. Involuntary consent. I'm curious about that one.
They were passed out and you just, would that be, or that's implied consent?
That's an implied
Unresponsive.
consent.
That's implied
Yeah.
consent if they're passed out.
So the involuntary consent is more like what we were just talking about,
With
where
the
the cop
kid
says
saying, "I don't wanna
you're
go, but I
going whether
have
you
no
want to or
choice."
not, yeah.
Right.
So involuntary consent. What's it?
That's the one we were just talking about with the cop saying to, you're in my custody. It's maybe involuntary.
Oh, that's
on your
considered
part.
involuntary,
That's
okay, that would
No,
be.
it's saying that that's not a thing,
Yeah, I
but
don't see
you're getting
involuntary.
informed or expressed consent from the officer.
So that'd be informed consent.
Yeah, so they're saying it's an oxymoron, it's not really a thing, and you shouldn't use the term involuntary consent.
Right,
There's no such thing.
It's not a thing because,
But that's what it would have been used to
right, and that's what they're
describe.
describing it as, yeah, is that, and it's just saying it's not a thing. Because if the police officer says they should go with you, then you have consent, and it's
Right.
no longer,
Right.
nothing's involuntary, the
From-
person who
that's,
can
so
give
that's
consent.
informed consent
From,
then.
from the kid's standpoint, that's involuntary
Right.
consent. But
Yeah.
from the cop's standpoint, who has custody, that's actual
Yeah.
consent.
And legally, it's consent, it's
Right.
expressed consent.
Forcible restraint, any questions on that? The right to refuse treatment, you do have one? Go.
No, I got all figured out.
You liar. Oh, sorry. I'm going back to that honest thing. The right to refuse treatment. Does anybody have the right to refuse treatment?
They shouldn't be able to.
Yep. Yeah, no way, Tyler.
I just wanna get paid. If I have to get up at 3 in the morning to pick you up off
That's
the
right.
ground.
Advanced directives.
that'll be all.
Any questions on an advanced directive? That's, most, we see that a lot.
There's 5 particular things to
For what? On advanced directives? What do you wanna know?
Their paperwork has to have specific things on it for it to be, valid advanced directive.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's valid, you can't just walk in and ask the patient, or ask the spouse, does he have advanced directives? And they say, yeah, but I don't have it with me.
But more than that, it
If
has
they
to
don't have it,
medical
then
conditions.
technically they don't got it.
And the specific care that you shouldn't be giving them is listed on there.
Right.
It'll
Specific
say no resuscitation, no
Before
whatever.
you call the hospital, they tell you, oh no, we have a copy of it, go ahead.
Then you
Yeah,
go to the
that-
hospital and they don't.
They don't have a copy.
Yeah.
But if the hospital, well, then that's why you put it in your paperwork, that the hospital told us don't do it. Okay, physician orders for life-sustaining treatment. That goes along with the advanced directives.
Yeah.
Ethical principles and moral obligation.
Pulse is the big one that'll be on the test.
Huh?
Physician orders for life-sustaining treatment. That's the new one that'll be on the test.
Physician what? Oh, pulsed?
Post, yeah.
Okay, so physician orders for life-sustaining treatment is most likely gonna be on the test, they said.
It's
So
similar
read
to
through
an
that really
EMR,
good, guys.
but it's typically has more conditions on it,
Pulsed?
is more specific to the patient.
Okay.
Where are you there?
We're on
That's
page
page
89.
That physician's
Oh, I
orders
see
for
it.
life-sustaining
I
treatment.
couldn't figure out what you were saying.
Yeah, pulsed.
Gotcha.
So,
And they could be saying they want oxygen, just not CPR.
Right.
You know,
right, I mean, it breaks it down.
Pain medications.
So, going back to, what did I just? Okay, so ethical principles and moral obligations. So your ethics, your morals, applied ethics, bioethics. An entire field of ethics known as bioethics has evolved over the past several decades that addresses issues that arise in the practice of healthcare. Oh, isn't that nice? So you have applied confidentiality. Everybody understands confidentiality? Any questions on that?
I
Correct.
do, but Julia's got some issues.
Again? I know.
Is that what we were talking about earlier, Bill?
Records and reports? Oh, I'm gonna back up on confidentiality. You're all dealing with HIPAA, where basically it's the privacy. I think everybody here has gone through that HIPAA where you just keep your mouth shut. Really? Congratulations, we'll get you enrolled in that 8-hour class. There's no problem.
I do it like
8,
times a year.
I had to do 24 hours.
They've advanced it.
Remedial for you.
That's because you kept asking. What? What? Records and report, keep good records. As our resident lawyer here will tell you, if you didn't write it down, it didn't happen.
Document.
Document. Huh?
Dan wrote it down, it still might not have happened.
First you have to have an
Love you,
interpreter.
Wow.
It comes in handy in court, right, Dan?
Mandatory
My clerks
reporting
can always read my
requirements.
handwriting. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
So, on this one, when you're dealing with mandatory reporting requirements, I didn't realize this. The obligation to report in most frequently applied to the following categories of cases: neglect or abuse of children, neglect or abuse of older people, domestic violence, injury sustained during the commission of a felony or specific injury considered to be suspicious, drug-related injuries, childbirth occurring outside a licensed medical facility, rape, animal bites, certain communicable diseases.
What diseases?
It just says certain communicable diseases. That doesn't necessarily.
So an example might be HIV.
Yeah.
If you run across that, you might have to report, you know, that you discovered or knew or learned that that person had it. And given the circumstances that they may be attempting something that would spread that infection that they shouldn't be doing, like somebody who's under an order, court order, you know, to not be spreading it around without making disclosure. And then you come across that they've raped this person and obviously made no disclosure that they were HIV positive. That's a communicable disease. TB also is another one that you
That
might
would
have.
fall underneath that.
Mhm.
So,
That might require.
So
a
exceptions to
mandatory-
HIPAA in those cases.
Exactly, something that's a mandatory reporting deal.
Now,
So-
drug-related injuries, how do you interpret that over drug usage? If they're injured after they've taken a drug, is that,
Injured
Like
when
an
making it.
overdose.
yeah, that usually like
That could
an
be,
overdose.
yeah.
or they jump off the green eye and smack the rock at the bottom end because they were,
Drug-related injuries is just even smoking or using it in front of the children, or if the children are in close contact, they can get, criminal charges for using.
reckless for
Child
kids.
endangerment.
Or child endangerment.
Kid picks up an acid stamp. And the acid, you know, goes through their skin and their hand.
Mhm.
You live in a sick world.
You definitely do.
Acid stamp.
But at the end of that, it then says it's based on
It
the
was a
state.
drug of choice at one time.
And I can't really find any of those other ones mandatory.
Back in
You
the
really
day-
have to put them on the stamps.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
actually.
Scene
had
of the
the
crime.
kids, that's why I
Guys,
know
this
that.
is one of those that we actually stress to you, is scene of the crime. When, if you come across a crime, especially if the person is deceased, and it's unsure of how they died, something like that, you need to make sure you report to the officers that who went in the scene. They have to show a path in and a path out. And we try to get you to stay on the same path as best you can. We've had incidences where you feel like you've got to get in there to make sure they're not dead. But the officers told you, no, they're already gone.
Do police have the authority to declare?
They
somebody
control
dead?
the scene. The coroner's office controls the body.
There have been times at which they've already called off a call, before EMS is on scene. I don't know if they have like the same restrictions that we do when it comes to declaring somebody dead, or if they have.
They called that last one dead before.
Well, and it happened earlier this year.
Yeah.
In
I know that like.
November, we had one that we were canceled before we got on scene because, law enforcement got there and declared the person dead.
Right, I know that we
Which-
can if there's like rigor mortis
There was
or
only
decomposition
two officers.
or like obvious.
Was it three?
One, which
I
one?
think it was-
The
Mark,
one recently?
Trailer?
There
Do
was.
you remember
multiple.
the
There was-
young
there
man
was a
that committed
lot.
suicide out on
When
Hamilton
we
Road
first
that time,
got there,
juvenile
yeah.
Joan?
Yeah, when we first got there, it was just Cornwall.
Shot himself in the head.
The others.
Oh, yeah.
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 Cause there was like.
And we got on scene and he still had a
There was
pulse.
like four
Mhm.
that that responded got there before you guys.
Then we brought him in
So,
and they
well,
did
they didn't
organ and
get, like,
tissue
maybe they
donation
Right.
as a
there,
result of
maybe
that.
they were dealing with the.
We never got a chance on these others to have any
Right.
check
No,
to
they
see
got
if there
there
was anything. They wanted to preserve
well
the
before you
scene,
guys did.
which I understand, and I don't wanna mess up their scene. But are they checking for that to see if there's anything recoverable? I know it messes up their scene, but
Yes.
We had that one, recently, where I asked, did anybody check for a pulse? Cause I thought we should at least do that. And the officer said, no, it's an obvious death. And I said, okay, I'll buy that, but I wanna see it. And so he shone the flashlight so that we could see, that way I knew exactly what he was thinking, because I was thinking the same thing.
unless you really check for a pulse, you don't really, I mean, unless it's like heads crushed by a truck, I've seen that
Yeah.
one. I mean, there's obviously nothing survivable there, but
Right.
when it's a single gunshot wound to the head,
It's
Well, when
survivable.
most of the cranium's gone, though.
yeah, that pretty much ruins it.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that close to him, I wasn't allowed to.
I just got to, they shined the flashlight, they had a brighter flashlight than I had. I could see what they were thinking, that it was obvious.
So was there a response to Tyler's initial question, or question?
What was Todd's question?
Can they, what are their
What's the
protocols? for
Can
protocol
they
So,
declare a death?
you know,
Thank you.
there really isn't. Cause the police are in charge of the scene.
We can't declare someone dead as
Right.
an EMT, right?
Unless it's.
You
like I
can't.
said,
Technically,
rigor
the
mortis.
Minor
sheriff-
morbidity,
Or other obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
Technically,
I mean, there's
legally
obvious signs of
wise,
death.
The sheriff is the only one,
Or the county clerk.
Right.
or the county coroner,
or his designated.
or a medical doctor that can do that.
Well, let me rephrase that.
But in the-
Actually, no.
Stop
EMS
CPR,
can
you
do it.
don't have to start CPR if it's like.
I think
rigor
that's
mortis.
the difference you're talking about. In that circumstance, we're not declaring a death.
Right,
We're
we're not
just,
technically
we're
declaring
off
a
the
death,
hook to
but-
provide care.
Right.
We've been told to
The only
stand
law
down.
enforcement
Right.
officer that has the authority to declare a person dead is the sheriff.
Correct. Correct.
So that just, it makes me wonder, cause like I said, there have been times where we've been called off because law enforcement has said we weren't needed or something like that, but
Well, see, I know
I've just
down
always
in,
been
I
confused.
know down in Texas, when Bradley was an EMT, they still had to go in and do the
Check
pulse.
pulse.
Even when my dad had the double homicide, it was obvious, but he made an EMT go in and check the pulse.
Yeah.
So that's probably
That
different from
wouldn't be a
state to
bad
state.
idea to get
Colorado
Yeah,
only.
I think we'll talk to doctors, I wanna get, it's a valid point, so we've gotta get,
Because
As a
from-
practical
from
matter, I'm not gonna
law
argue with the cop
enforcement
if he tells me I can't go
The
in.
sheriff's the only one
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has authority.
Unless you're gonna go to the Capitol.
Right.
yeah.
Only if I have my Thor outfit.
So the deceased, when dealing with the deceased, you got physical signs of death. You have presumptive signs of death, definitive signs of death. Here it goes into the corner medical examiner right here. Because at that point, then it becomes organ and tissue donation, that's what, you're looking at. And still, that really doesn't concern you unless if they have a life, in other words, their heart's still beating, stuff like that, then it's definitely life, even if their head's in trouble.
Then there's potential to have them hang on and be a donor.
Correct. And so if the family's sitting there telling you, no, don't do anything,
That's hard to
can you do that?
No,
What?
No.
not unless they have a
No.
DNR.
If the family's sitting there telling you not to do it?
But make it any
Check
easier.
their life
knowing that.
insurance
Yeah.
and ask for a down payment.
Yeah, there you go. The best way I heard that put was from Dr. Wilson years ago. He said, what if they're the ones who caused this and they're telling you not to do that?
Exactly.
And it's like, so now you get into specialist organ donor, organ donor, medical identification insignias. These are Obvious signs of death, okay. So, that is chapter 3. Any questions? I told you we'd get through chapter 3. You guys wanna call it good, or you want me to keep going? Anybody? Anybody?
So then if we stop now, how many chapters would we need tomorrow?
We'd have to do,
Because what chapter does Dr. Bright start with on Sunday?
7.
7?
So we still have to do, we could do 3 tomorrow,
We do 4, 5, and 6 tomorrow.
4, 5, and 6 tomorrow, and then Dr. Bright gets 7
Yeah.
and 8.
And guys, we're going, it's lifting and moving, it's that kind of stuff. We're gonna blow through that really quick.
Yeah, it's not gonna take long.
I think we can get out of here within 2 hours tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's 7:30 now.
And that was an hour and a half.
We'll be done tomorrow in an hour and a half pretty easily, I think.
See you tomorrow.
You guys okay with that intense sleep?
I don't think they can answer.
Yes.
Good.
Thumbs up.
All right,
Go.
we're out of here. We're done. Thank you guys for showing up.
Said you're number 1.
What time tomorrow?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
All right, and hopefully, God willing, we'll be done by 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Josh comes on at 11, so we're good.
Yeah, because the Buffalo Bill game starts at 11.
Which one?
So, all right, thanks guys. We're out of here.